We getting into some things. Absolutely. Peace and wellness to the family just tuning in. So today, welcome to the Art of Wellness, the Art of Wellness group meetings. Art of Wellness group meetings. I am very excited about doing these meetings. Can't we do this? Is crazy. I'm gonna turn this on. This is nuts. All right. Let me go ahead and share my screen so we get it started. We're gonna be talking about skill set development, how to master, how to master your skill. This is very important. Very important. I think I think that this is something that we need to really zero in on if we want to not only make a lot of money, because once you master the skill and focus on the skill that you want to master, not only will you make a lot of money, but you will also live a better life, mental health wise, because usually the skill that you set upon mastering is a gift that you were given. And that gift that you were given is leading you into your purpose. It's all kind of like stages of a meaningful life when it comes to skills. Now, don't get me wrong, some of us do have skills that we develop by way of being in the corporate world without purpose, just kind of robotic. And it's just skills that we picked up and developed within being in that corporate setting. It still doesn't mean it's not a valuable skill. And really, you could take those skills that you might have learned just by just doing it repetitively. You can take those skills, get you into another door of something that you enjoy that brings you fulfillment and joy to your heart and happiness. Use that to get in that door and begin to develop what it is that brings you fulfillment. Because sometimes, you know what I'm saying, it's like it's not all about like the monetary gain. We can gain all this monetary revenue and income and still not be happy, and still not be fulfilled. It's I'm trying to think of this quote that Bob Marley said about having money. It was something like, you have all this money but still poor with all this money. I forget how he put it. It was a clever way and how he said it. But I feel closer to who I truly am when I'm following my heart, not worrying about the outcome, staying in my creative mind, mastering the skills that came about me exercising my gifts that led me to purpose. That's when I feel the most human being and not like just a human doer, doing things and just moving, not being busy and not necessarily being productive and not really having purpose, not living intentional and having a purposeful life. And this year, I promise you, anybody who has just interest in me with no intention is getting cut fully off, fully off. So the time that was spent, I'm glad that we shared those experiences. But if there's not intentional, it's nothing intentional about our relationship before, it's not. You're probably not gonna see me again, other than in your imagination. And that's what we are gonna talk about a little bit within skill set development. I have pulled up here some skills that were high demand in 2021. It's 2023 now, but they still apply. But I wanted to not to say that this is dated, because it probably is not dated, just, and that's another thing with time, but I was really just identifying with the actual skills that they had listed on here, which was very interesting to me as it goes into what I wanted to discuss today with mastering skills. Because what we got to understand is when we're mastering our skill sets, it puts us in a place of like quantum leaping in our life, like stepping into the unknown to allow things to unfold and happen in our life. And that's the important thing about catapulting yourself into something that's not your comfort zone, that you might not be sure about, that's an unknown outcome, or you don't necessarily know or understand what's going to come out of it, but you need a drastic change in your life. That's when you dive in, because that's when you open up the unlimited possibilities of the quantum field, and it's going to amplify your energy. Or people always talking about energy, but what is the energy? What is it exactly when we're talking about it as it relates to the human body and the human consciousness, the energy centers, the chakras, your consciousness itself, the light within inside of you that is really the eternity, that is really the true you, that is not that transcends time, that is not bound by time, space, or matter, like God. That's why they in the image of God, because he put that inside of you, the true essence of who you are. And your skills are a reflection of that. That's what's going to get us the money. And more importantly, that's what's going to get us happiness and internal happiness and stability. I hope y'all can hear me. Type of one in the chat if you can hear me on my YouTube live. If you don't mind, family. Peace, y'all. Peace to you, brother. Peace to the God. And peace to the God. Peace to the God, Chelsea. I ain't gonna call you a goddess, and you a god too. Peace to the Lords, man. Type of one. You can hear me good? Okay, good. Perfect. Perfect. So the first thing about skill set development I wanted to say, I wanted to talk to where I was gonna get into finding a skill first. Some of us might not feel like we have certain skills or haven't discovered them. So if that's you in that case, think about your gifts. What are you gifted with? What do you seem to do with ease that brings other people joy and yourself joy? What do you seem to do that just comes naturally to you? Those are usually your gifts. You exercise your gifts, it's going to lead you into your purpose. I talk about this in my book, A Step-by-Step Guide to Improving Self-Discipline. So with that being said, for those that don't think that they have a particular set of skills or don't have skills at all, that's a place that you could start. Now, for those that we were just talking about initially that have skills, but have acquired these skills by way of it being in a corporate setting or in a setting that they don't necessarily enjoy, that's okay. Take those skills, revamp them, and get them into the purpose or the path that you want to go in. Use those skills to get you in the door of eternal happiness and money and income that you want, because they're valuable. And those skills can get you to where you envision yourself. So let's get that out of the way. Okay. Skill set, the skill set mastery. First thing we want to do when we're mastering our skills, once you find what they are, is we want to go into an exploration stage. The exploration stage, how'd I get out of stagnation? Great question. That's a great question. The exploration stage, that we can get into it with this breakdown of the phases of skill set, the skill set GPS map, what I like to call it, skill set development. Exploration stage. So once you find something that you are naturally good at, once you find something that you consider as one of your gifts, you can discover these gifts. You can discover these gifts as you're finding yourself and going deep within yourself. Once you start discovering these things, you want to go on an exploration stage with using these skills that you have acquired along the way with getting to know you and being in different settings to where you had to multitask, where you had to communicate, where you had to separate prescription medicines, where you had to run a line, where you had the management. And they have things called soft skills too, like communication, leadership, and also problem solving. These are called like soft set skills, soft skill sets. But they're very important too. But that's an underline of what I'm about to talk about right now with your exploration, with the exploration stage. So let me give you an example. Like I was saying, like with my business and entrepreneurship, I had never did vending or what you would call traditional public speaking. Now, what I did was actually more difficult, in my opinion, than public speaking, which prepared me for what I do now, which was getting in front of crowds and reciting lines of lyrics with no music behind me in battle rap. So this ultimately put me in a position to be able to transform or take a skill set that I learned that was a quick fix for happiness with me, but I knew in the longevity, I would need this skill set to come into the person that I really knew who I was. So I was able to use a rhythm, be my own instrument, speak it, rhyme it, memorize it, and rap it in front of a crowd. So I took that skill, transitioned over into entrepreneurship and finding new skills in my new self in my exploration stage. And I used that skill that I learned in entrepreneurship in my exploration stage. That's a good example carrying over into skill set development and what we're talking about right now. So you might have a skill that you're not necessarily sure if you're going to be using it the same way. Cool. Keep that skill, develop that skill, gain an audience and establish authority with that skill. Carry it over into your new venture and your renewed self and your renewed purpose and your renewed path in life, because that skill clearly made a way for me coming into a new path and a new and a new realizations and a new transition and transformation of me. So that helped me out a lot with mastering the art of communication. And that is, we're gonna get in, as you can on this, you can see on the Zoom here, one of the skills with high demand that in 2 years ago is public speaking. They got copywriting, public speaking, Excel knowledge, web development, product management, coding, SEO, Google Analytics, app development, UX design, social media marketing, and Photoshop. So that would go into public speaking and the mastering the art of communication. We already know when we master the inner communication, then you know, communication equals cash flow. Communication equals cash flow, but somebody might have a mouthpiece, but if their inner communication is not correct, how are they going to be able to generate cash flow if they have a service? Because they won't be able to properly communicate how their offer is going if they don't have the proper communication within themselves. So before you can public speak, first you must inner speak. You know what I'm saying? So that was a good example of how I transitioned over in my exploration stage. So I tried it in another way, and it took me down a whole nother path of what you see with me now, talking to y'all, having this discussion with y'all right now in my entrepreneur stage, right? But I learned that in my creative artistry stage. That was a skill that I was developing, that I was molding, that I was mastering in a different way to carry it over and to master it in a new way that would bring me not only eternal happiness but also infinite wealth, infinite income. Communication equals cash flow. Establishment stage. Once you get into really locking in with a concentrate, with a conscious focus, a conscious effort of focusing, and the alchemy of concentration and focus is very important when you're mastering your skill set and you're really focusing, you're really determined to take that leap, to stop doing the unknown, really rolling the dice on yourself. You know what I'm saying? You get into the establishment stage. Okay, but let me answer your question right quick so before the stagnation. So the stagnation, they're relating, I'm seeing in science that they're relating stagnation to depression. Like you're in some state of unconscious depression when you're stagnated or procrastinating on something. Now, I haven't looked more into the information on that. I can kind of understand where they're coming from just off experience, because how I feel when I was depressed. So it put me like I was stagnant. I didn't want to do nothing. Nothing was motivating me. Nothing was inspiring me. Nothing was in spirit with me. So when we're talking about stagnation, we're feeling like we're stuck in one place. So we're stuck in one place. within. We're stuck within, so it's manifesting without. We feel like we can't do nothing, don't want to do anything. And how one of the ways I got out of stagnation, if not the most important way, was creative intuition. It was creativity. See, your subconscious mind is not subject to time. So what that means is when you're creating and you're in a deep set of creation, you're putting yourself closest to God. You're putting yourself in a state of where your mind, you're past the future, you're past the now and the present, but you're creating it all at the same time because you're creating within your own imagination where nobody else can go, and you're getting outside of ordinary reality. In your ordinary reality, you feel stagnant, you feel displaced, you feel like you're procrastinating. But when you get into your imagination and when you get into your subconscious mind, you're no longer subject to that ordinary reality. That takes you out of that ordinary reality and puts you in a place of where you're in control of everything, and you can see things that can happen in your life and the possibilities that nobody else can see. This is how you escape time. So when you're getting out of stagnation, that means you're getting into creativity. You have to find what it is that you want to create, because the stagnation is the stagnation of the prefrontal cortex, where the creativity starts in the first place. So, and then once you get into that creativity, you ever noticed you kind of forget your name, where you're from, who your parents are. Only thing that really matters is what you're concentrating on, what you're creating, because it's going to bring you so much fulfillment within your existence. Your existence actually becomes that creation. And then it makes sense. That is why at that moment we're the closest with the creator. This is why it's so important for the subconscious mind shadow work and the reprogramming of the subconscious mind. A lot of people have subconscious mind problems when they're in a state of stagnation. So the first thing you want to do is, like we was talking about initially, is explore what it is that you feel like you're good out at more, that you've been maybe afraid to do publicly, or have the bravery to express that in front of people, or to even go at it on your own. Get out your own way. Then you establish that with yourself, mainly within yourself. You establish and you impress your subconscious mind to trust your intuition by way of using your creativity. Follow me? Then when you get into your creativity, you start understanding that this is where you must stay moving forward for mental wellness and for mastering skill sets and for moving forward and with creativity. I like to think of it in a sense of moving forward with, even with just soft skill sets, your leadership, your communication, the way that you are able to problem solve, because that's why what I have on is here, creative entrepreneur. Because by way of me understanding my creativity, I can be a better problem solver. I can be more of a solutionist because I can find innovative ways to be able to solve problems. So get outside of the ordinary reality that you see here, not just the one that you're creating for yourself, because the one that you're creating for yourself is within anyway. This ordinary reality here, as human beings, we have an escape route. We have an asylum called the imagination that we can go into, and it transcends everything around us. Everything that we can think of, whatever are its things, our imagination can transcend past that. We can actually go into a whole different state of being beyond our being. This is your imagination is where you find yourself in places that you never been, and you can literally really be there because you envisioned it with your imagination. That's what sets us apart as who we are. It's very it's very deep, but if you think about it like this, um, I stepped into the unknown of never vending before. I used this story a couple of times. I never vended before in my business, never did it before in my life. However, I did it like I've done it 100 times. And I remember how I felt when I was putting my table into the car, when I was loading my jars up. I remember how I felt when I was preparing to go vend. It felt like something that I had already done before. It felt like I was living in the end result of accomplishing that goal that I set out for myself to go vend initially. I put myself in a quantum leap phase. And when I say quantum leap, I mean because I was stepping into the unknown, but I let go of I let go of the outcomes, which allow all the possibilities to come in. And once I did that, I made the most money that I made legitimately in my business moving forward with vending, with developing more skills, communication, being able to communicate my offer, social skills, within talking to the customer, telling them how it affects the body, telling them how it's going to help them, telling them how it's going to bring them more mental wellness, mental clarity, cognitive function, being able to hit certain points to relate and resonate with my customer. Now, when I was doing that, also to go back to getting out of stagnation, if I wouldn't have attacked it like that, then I would have stayed stagnant and like, now I'm gonna wait till next year and to do it because I ain't never did it before. Or I need to call somebody and figure this thing out and get a whole bunch of opinions that's just gonna put me more in a stagnant state and confused. Or I could just go at it like I've done it before and put myself in a quantum leap type of phase and and get outside of the ordinary reality that has been created by the low level goals that I have been setting for myself. That's another thing about goals is another way you can manipulate time and get out of stagnation, because once you set goals and you embody in those goals and you work towards those goals, you are now time traveling. You are now creating a new future for yourself every day that you're living inside of those goals. So you have to ask yourself, how much am I living inside of my goals? What goals do I have set for myself? And how bad do I want to reach them? Because that's going to get you out of stagnation. We as human beings have to be growing. We have to be working towards something to keep, especially now with everything that they're putting in the food for chemical imbalances in the limbic system. Growing, progression, and working towards something will keep you out of stagnation. It'll keep you out of depression. It'll keep you out of anxiety. It'll keep you out of post-traumatic stress. This is from experience. I will do a combat depression discussion as well. Hopefully we get more people on. Tell people about this. Tell them to sign up on my Zoom and my link and all of that. So when you go into your goals, you're manipulating time. You're inside of your future. You're totally immersed in the now, mostly because you're creating your problem solving. You're coming up with any type of innovative ways to accomplish these goals, and you're willing to do whatever necessary. A lot of the times, let me give you another example. You ever been at work before, right? You're at work, but you're not at work because you're thinking about something that you have set up outside of work. You're thinking about maybe how you're putting together your baby's you're putting together you're designing your baby's birthday party, and you got this in place, and you have to invite these people, and you created these invites, and you have this email blast, and then you have to call family, and you're going to call this family member, and you're going to have everything in place because you want your kid's birthday party to be perfect and grand. And you already know it is, but you're so immersed in how you want it to look, how you've envisioned it, how you have put everything in place for your child to enjoy their birthday. And you're so caught up in that you're at work on a clock that we call time. But then when they call time and you look at your watch and you're like, it's time to go already. Dang, time flew. No, it wasn't that time flew. It was the fact that you transcended time by being in your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind it's not bound by time, space, or matter. So you were so much inside of your creative mind that you got outside of this ordinary reality and you was more in your own clock, which is your motion in existence. And your existence became more energy than matter because you were in your mind. You were in your subconscious mind. And that is what is so interesting about the power of the mind and how much it goes into what it is that we're talking about right now. I don't want to get so much off the skill set development with that question. That was a good question though, just because I was going to get into it with the mastery. That's what you're establishing your skill set by way of learning new things about yourself, working your skill, exploring your skill, impressing your subconscious mind with your skill moving forward. Like, hey, I can do this. And for those that don't feel like they're very creative, creativity is a learned behavior. Just get down on yourself, repetitive. Use the skills that you learn in the corporate world in another way. Do the things that you love, even if you don't feel like they can bring you no money. Do what you love, even if you feel like they can't bring you any money. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. People are like, oh, yeah, I want to do art and stuff like that, but it really doesn't bring any revenue. And you know what? There's the the thing about that is until you start doing things that bring you mental clarity, spiritual ascension, spiritual awakeness, internal happiness, you have no idea how much abundance and income and revenue you can open up, because you might do something in a way that nobody has, and turn yourself into an asset by doing what makes you happy in a way so much that you attract people to you, that you make more money that you ever made in your life. And that's the thing. It's like, okay, at least if we're working a job, if we're working a job, yet we still have a plan to get off the job, and we have something that keeps us happy that we do to get us away from the job. That's our plan to get off of the job. Whatever that is, master that. Master that. I challenge you to master that. Whatever it's dancing, whether it's art, whether it's a musical artist, instrumentalist, sewing, agriculture, master that and see where that takes you. Master what you love internally. Because what you love, what you do, what you're mastering the skill, what you're doing is you're mastering a skill that needs development that you don't even know. You think it's just a hobby. Well, really, if you mastered it, it is something that could change your life for the rest of your life. It's not just a hobby. It's a hobby because you're telling yourself that it's a hobby. It's a hobby because you're trading your existence on somewhere that's not making you happy and not focusing on mastering what it is that brings you internal happiness, or even mastering a skill like project management or coding, and saying, yeah, I don't, you complaining about being somewhere, but you don't want to master any skills that could possibly bring you internal happiness, because you don't want to roll the dice on yourself and take that quantum leap into the unknown, into the chaos. But you just like complaining about it. But if you did do that, if you did take that leap, if you did roll the dice on yourself and obtain that skill and try to master that skill, explore that skill, establish that skill, and then master that skill, you would never have to go back to that job again. And not only that, you would start to really realize of how much of that job was actually taken away from you, yet given at the same time, if you paid attention to the systems and everything that you were learning in place to get you to the point where you could master your skill that you decided to jump into, or master the skill that you actually thought was a hobby, or master the skill that you actually thought was just something that you did on the weekend. It's a challenging yourself. Challenging yourself opens up the endless possibilities of the quantum. To challenge yourself leads to a quantum leap, allowing things to unfold in your life and happen. And that's how you get out of that stagnation. Then you get into the overflow. Once you master your skill, what do you got up here? We got social media marketing. Everybody's on social media. Just think if you decided I'm gonna learn how to make better content. How did you start? How did you learn how to make better content? Well, I started with myself. I started making better content for myself. And when I started making better content for myself, I started seeing some crazy results. My followers went up. I was able to monetize it. I came out with a product and people bought it. I was able to talk on the camera, self-share. I was able to learn how to make ads, funnels. My link tree was lit up. I was able to make funnels and be able to upsell and scale my products by way of collecting data and then taking that data, creating an email list and marketing to those specific people who were interested in that service. Social media marketing takes little to no money to start, and you can literally like make millions of dollars off of it. Yeah, for real. Uh honestly, I try to give my people plays on it because I really believe that a lot of them that I be around could be a lot better at it than me. I truly believe that. And if I can just get them started, if I can just get their motor running, for them to see, for them to see themselves, their eternal reflection, that can put me in a remarkable position, in a power position. Because I know some of the people I've been around can do this even better than I can. I know they can. But it just all starts with that quantum leap. I'm gonna keep saying I'm reading this. I was reading this book called Quantum Leap, by Doctor Prickett, something like that. I don't want to slaughter his name. Very good book though. Very good book. Talks about unfoldment and thinking of life as a unfoldment of culture, unfoldment of yourself. Um, so another skill. Let's just see if we because I really want y'all to think about this skill. I ain't gonna take too much of y'all time. Public public okay, we did web development, Facebook ads, coding. Oh, man, you know what? SEO on Google Analytics, coding is good. Coding right now, if you can get into coding right now, you can set your family up real nice. Now, it is a skill that you will have to focus and you have to that's really jumping into the unknown because you really don't know how much focus you can invest based off if you don't even know if you're going to enjoy it, if you're even going to find it like something that you actually like and enjoy learning about and gaining that skill. However, it is a skill to get you out of it is a skill that can bring on other skills that can lead you into what it is that would be good for you. And I say that to say I took a coding class at Beats and Bars, the same Beats and Bars that I met Stick from Dead Prez at Crystal Taylor, Mansur's mother. She had a coding class there in one of the workshops, and I was sat down and I was doing it. It was like music coding. It was really dope. And intriguing. Now, I will say that might not be nothing that I would get into like me myself, like willingly. But if I was in a situation to where like I was working two jobs and I was trying to find something to get out of those jobs, and that's coding is something that I would have jumped into because it would have taught me focus, it would have taught me concentration, and I would have walked out of there with a skill where companies are looking to pay 55 to 60K a year. you know so the internal happiness probably will come from learning that. It probably will come from staying with that and learning how to focus on that. So it's not always about the actual, man, there's so many different angles you can look at this thing from with your developing skills. But I just want to give y'all a different couple of different insights on different things when it comes to that. This is a really good topic. It really is a really good topic because it brings in a lot of questioning and what we want to do with ourselves and how we can set our family straight by mastering a skill set that can bring in revenue and internal happiness at the same time, with understanding like, dang, I didn't know this thing that I love so much could actually make a living out of it. And yes, you can. You can absolutely. You don't have to be stressed, all your life on a job, stressing you out, making you ill. You don't have to do that. You can take a risk on yourself and jump into the unknown and come into a newfound truth and realization about how to bring in income and how to add value to yourself to become an asset and bring in that money. Seriously. So it's something that I wanted y'all to talk about, that how to master skills. I appreciate y'all tonight. I was live on my YouTube. Appreciate y'all tapping into my YouTube. If you haven't got on my YouTube, check out my YouTube, Supreme Wellbeing. Also, I will be doing an affiliate link program soon. I'll talk about that more later. Y'all make sure y'all visit my Supreme www.mysupremewellbeing.com. Got some good sales on there. Got some good new product on there, the Tea of Life. Also, go to my Instagram at Supreme_Wellbeing LLC. Appreciate y'all being here tonight. Let people know that you can sign up for my Art of Wellness group meetings on the link in my bio. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. All right. All right, y'all. Peace and wellness to the family.